Hey, family. This is Coach Brandon, and I am the coach, founder, owner of I Trained You, the complete premier player development company. We are, really going to learn how to play basketball the right way. We're going to learn how to play the game of life the right way. And so, if you realize that the way you play the game of life, the way that you practice, the way that you play, like just you, and how if you don't do what you're supposed to do off the court or the way you do it on the court, none of this is going to work. So we've talked a little bit about, how to form habits and excellence and doing that in every way. But a lot of times people come to me and they just want to get better instantly at basketball. And they don't understand exactly how much hard work it's going to take. You have to be obsessed. Like when I was coming up and there wasn't really all this information. There wasn't YouTube and there wasn't really a manual and people weren't really paying attention to the science of improvement the way that we're doing it now. And so now there's more to it. So there was a period of time where you got really physically good and you could outwork people just because you were bigger, stronger, faster. And so you see a lot of athletes that are like that where they don't actually get the skill set. In order to be great, you have to be dynamic. In order to be dynamic, you have to have a coach that's willing to help you to become dynamic or support you to become dynamic or encourage you to become dynamic and help you get through the times where you're going to make mistakes. Because if you're dynamic, sometimes you could be like a wild horse, you could be reckless. And so you're not really going to see the success in the beginning. But if you have thick skin, if you have confidence with yourself, over time you're going to start recognizing, and a lot of it is through trial and error. So when you're out there on the court and you're trying to understand the way the game is and you just do something right one time, you're not going to really pick that up as a skill or like that's a part of your game. But you're going to need to do that over and over and over again as a trial and error to say, hey, this works. This works under these circumstances or maybe all circumstances. But guess what? You also could have a coach that can show you a pattern and say, this is how it's going to work. And so now over and over and over again, you'll see it and you'll recall with that coach. And so now your learning curve is much less. So no matter how you get to it, whether it's through trial and error, whether it's through a coach, whether it's through a training system, the bottom line is that you want to be in the game. And so you have to become a part of the culture of basketball. You can't just be on the outside looking in. You can't think, oh, well, I'm going to play all these different sports and I'm going to do this and I'm going to be an art major and I'm going to be an actor and all the rest of the stuff. There's a strong chance that you're not going to get the necessary reps to be great. And here's what I'm talking about. Like, in order to be effective, you have to look at the game as a test. And when you look at the game as a test and you can evaluate and see how you participated in that game, that becomes critical to your success. Because let's say, for example, you you don't really engage in a game. You're just kind of wandering around and running up and down the floor slow or whatever else, and you don't really pick up on, wait a second, am I in shape? Am I not in shape? Was I a little intimidated, so I took a little careful on that particular team? You've got to be able to analyze how you played, how you performed, and make that assessment either with your coach, with your parents, with your friends, or by yourself. Either way, you have to use that and then determine what skills you need to go back and work on. So the next time you have a practice or a test, I'm sorry, a practice or a game, you can use them as another test to see if there's any improvement. And then what happens over time? It becomes a habit, it becomes a part of you. So let's go back to the question. How do I become a better basketball player instantly? Well, there's some things that you have to do. And I'm just going to be honest. This is no offense to anybody. If anybody takes offense to what I'm about to say, then maybe it really applies to you. And that is stay away from unqualified coaches. So you don't have to be an NBA player or play D1 college basketball or be an all-American or whatever. But there are certain people out here who are just not qualified to teach you. I'll give you an example. Like in basketball, there's three dribbles. There's the dribble circle, there's the draw, there's ball swelling. So if you have a coach that can't tell you, if they say, oh, well, you're going to learn how to dribble between the legs, you're going to learn how to cross over, you're going to have to learn how to go behind the back. That's not really good enough. That's not going to help you to refine your skills to be a better ball handler. And if they don't tell you that, yeah, to dribble a basketball is to bounce it on the floor and have it come up with different techniques and all the rest of the stuff. But to be a ball handler, that means that you have to be able to dribble, have the ball be able to shape in your hands, and then also do what? Have footwork to go along with it. Because without footwork, you're not going anywhere. And so all this pound dribble and you're doing these static dribbles alone, that's not going to get it. You have to focus on static, semi-static, where you have one foot moving, and then you got to be dynamic. You got to work on with the ball and also your footwork. So unqualified coaches, I'll give you another example. When you catch the basketball, I ask all the kids this whenever I start with them. I ask parents this, what is the first thing you do when you catch the basketball on the perimeter? First thing you do. Think about it. Okay. So whatever your answer is to that, let me tell you how we look at it. How you can even tell after I tell you this that NBA players look at this. The very best players do this all the time. Number one, you have to check the balance of the defense. And that's your primary defender first. And so what do I mean by that? So the distance between you and your defender determines what kind of move you're going to go into. The distance between you and your defender, and there's three distances. Number one, there's active. That's an arm's distance away. The defender's arm's distance from you or less. What does that mean? That means that if I'm crossing the ball over or if I'm dribbling the ball in front of me, they can just reach out and take it, or they can block my shot. So on an arm's distance away, there's a movement that you would have to do immediately. We'll talk about that in future videos. The second would be an arm and a half distance away. We call that the neutral zone. So neutral zone is a defender's estimated arm and a half distance away. And so now I know that if they're that far away and I'm kind of in my range to be able to shoot, if I jab step, I can get their hands down. Then I get into my shot. If I do a pump fake or a set fake and I can get them to rise out of their posture, then maybe I can drive. And so learning how to manipulate from there, and this is the primary defender only. And so now you have the passive zone. That's two estimated defenders arm's distance away from you. And so now if you're in your range, you're required to shoot. So that's checking the balance of the defense. That's your primary defender. Now, all this should happen in less than a second and a half. Because as you're doing and sizing all of this up, the next thing you're doing is looking where the interior defenders are. All this is checking the balance of the defense. And that's whether you're dynamically dribbling the basketball, or that's whether, because you can do a dynamic jab step as well. And so understanding that and being able to have a conversation with you as a player, or being able to have a conversation with your parents or your friends or whoever your handler is, whoever, that means that that coach is qualified to instruct you, that they have a plan, they have a structure, they've already written this out. I wrote a book, so there's no guessing games to what it is that I'm asking my players to be able to do. So there's predictability in the success, because as they start to understand exactly what I'm asking for, over time, it becomes a habit of communication. That habit of communication becomes excellence. The quality of our communication becomes better, and now my players become better. So whoever it is that's teaching you, they may call it something different, but you can tell if they can articulate just the two things. What are the types of dribbles? If they can't articulate it, that's cool. You let it go, because some people are still learning. Even as coaches, they're trying to develop themselves. They're trying to develop their brand. They're trying to develop their identity. And a lot of people are showing you what they did. I don't show you what I did to become great as a basketball player. I show you what great players are doing. And I'm helping you to see that so that you can become a great basketball player, just like them, mimicking them, learning from them, all the rest of those things that become great. So let's talk a little bit about what's next. So now you have to create a plan. What is a plan? So you have to determine what your schedule is. You have to determine how much time you're going to spend doing these 5, 6, 7 different things. Because understanding that creating the plan means that there's going to be navigation. There's going to be things that go right. There's going to be things that go wrong. And so you can test that plan and see if it's working for you. But without a plan, without an idea, without a roadmap of where you're trying to get to, and understanding that you need practices, scrimmages, and games as your test to see if the stuff that you're working on makes sense, you gotta, there's predictability and success when you have a plan. There's no industry that does anything without a business plan, without an educational plan, just anything. Everything requires a plan. So why wouldn't you have a plan for your success and write it down? That way you're not doing random things. That way you're not disappointed, because you want to take growth in little chunks. So you want to take it and say, all right, I'm going to do this week. I'm going to do this week. I'm not going to say, all right, I need to be a ball handler who can do this fancy move in 3 days. That's unrealistic. You're going to say, by 3 months, I should be able to do this movement. And what are the necessary steps that I would have to back in to be able to get to that? And so that's how you, over time, can start building your planning and your strategies so that you can make adjustments if necessary, or actually add value to what you're doing and raise that level of intensity. Okay. So there's about 6 things that we teach that you need to do to become better instantly. It's almost like your confidence just goes up. And so you're a better basketball player because you have all of these things structured. So physical skill. So you're going to need to improve intellectually, emotionally, and physically. So your physical skills. So that's not just you being able to lift weights and how many push-ups you can do. All that's important with your athleticism. We'll talk about that in a second. But we're talking about like how you dribble, the perfection of your drill, the perfection of the skill in the drill. So let's talk about the dribble. So if you're going to use a dribble circle, then you have to be perfect within that dribble circle, within that skill. And then also when you're doing the drills, it doesn't matter what the drill is. You're going to use the dribble circle. You're going to use the draw. You're going to use ball swelling. You're going to use a neutral dribble called the eye dribble. Whatever that is, you should be able to see that level of detail, and also your footwork. And so as you're developing that physical skill, then you're looking for defenders that are going to try to stop you from getting from point A to point B, and you're going to demonstrate that you have that skill down with that particular dribble or multiple dribbles. And what is this doing for you? It's not only building your confidence, but it's also building your muscle repetition and your muscle memory. And so now what's happening is, in a game situation, you want your muscle memory to take over with the perfection of that particular skill. And we're talking about dribbling now. And so now all of a sudden you're going to be able to do things on the floor that you normally wouldn't do. But until you start to try to achieve a perfect practice or a perfect skill, and understand like how you bring the ball up has got to be a perfect way. How you release the basketball has got to be a perfect way, because once you laser down to that level of detail, when it's not perfect the way you want it and you don't have the confidence that you can make the shot or achieve, then you'll be happy to deliver the ball to someone else, or maybe draw a double and triple team before you do deliver it, to say, hey, let's give my teammate a chance to get open and maybe they can take a shot, because this is a cooperative sport. So how do you do this? You have to understand that you have to put hours and hours and hours into the gym in order for something to become a physical habit. Your body is kind of stupid. It's kind of dumb. So it needs for it to have muscle memory. You need to do it over and over and over again until it becomes natural. And it will happen because that's just the way our bodies are made. So give yourself time to be able to develop this physical skill set, but you need the hours. And those hours will also give you confidence, because you'll know that you're doing more than your neighbor is, your teammates, the kids down the street, the players around the DC, Maryland, Virginia, wherever. So next thing is team chemistry. You've got to be a great teammate to be around great teammates. So you have to make sure that your energy level, you have to make sure that what you talk about, you have to make sure what you present is not toxic. So you want to improve instantly, Be serious when you're out on the floor. In every practice, on every possession, show that you're trying to get better on every particular play faster than your plan. And then you'll find that the team chemistry is going to go up because people are going to respect you more. Your teammates are going to respect you. The fans are going to respect you. Your parents are going to respect you. The coaches are going to respect you. Coaches from other teams are going to respect you. And then people that might be recruiting you from other areas on the next level, they're going to respect you as well. Okay. So understand where team chemistry comes from. When you're on the floor to be a great teammate, you want to deliver the ball. You want to cheer your teammates on when they're doing great stuff, when they're not doing great stuff. You want to encourage them. So your energy level, your communication style, even if you're not being a leader yet, that team chemistry goes a long way to help you to improve on the floor because people will want you on the floor. They'll be excited. And look, if you miss a shot, that's okay, right? But the fact that your teammate believed in you enough to get you to basketball, that's the chemistry that you're looking for. And that's how you improve instantly. That's how you get better. So the next thing is understanding how to move on the floor. So you're going to have to watch games. You're going to have to see how Steph Curry moves, how Michael Jordan moved, how Kobe Bryant moved. You're going to have to look at Richard Hamilton. You got so many different players that really moved well without the basketball. Michael Jordan had to move well without the basketball to be able to get open, to be able to get into a shot. So you have to do the same thing. So you use plays to be able to get open. So you're going to have to recognize what are X's and O's. So I need to be able to learn how to run these plays or run a play period. And then as I'm running and navigating these plays, then that's going to help me to get open. Okay, so I didn't get the ball here. That's fine. I'll keep moving around the play because a lot of times you guys get stuck and you don't realize that you can trigger motion. Motion is just movement. And so what does movement means? It's pass and screen away, or it's just screen on the ball, or what have you. But motion is triggered when the defense breaks down. And that's the primary defender or also the interior defenders. And then you also could break down the offense because your teammates stop running the play. And so now you got the ball and you got to do something dynamic to create an opportunity for yourself. So all of these things kind of play into it that you're either running a play or things break down and it triggers motion. You can just decide to take your dude off the dribble and, make the shot. So there's lots of ways that it happens, but then how do you move afterwards? So you got to think about this. So when you're on the floor, you get instantly better just by understanding, am I in a play or am I running motion? And if you're playing pickup, it's always motion. So people are just moving around and trying to figure it out. So you got to learn how to cut to the basket. You got to learn how to, go back door, not expect the ball, come back out, show your hands, then move somewhere else, go set a screen, open up to the basketball. And what you'll find is that as you just run through your patterns, then people will get you the basketball. And when you have it, you're going to have the confidence to be able to shoot the basketball because you were doing something as a participant as opposed to just a spectator out on the floor. And that way is another example of how you improve instantly. So set that up in your mind every time you go out on the floor. Understand if you're running a play, learn what the play is all about and how the coach is looking at where the defense is going to be off balance. So when you get the basketball or when you help someone else get the basketball, you've actually thought through the process and you're like, okay, this is what I'm looking for. This is the pattern the coach wants to see where the defense is off balance. And now I know how we're trying to get a shot at the basket. And guess what? If John gets the ball and he pulls up and he shoots it, where would I rebound? So understand that per possession, you're going to have responsibilities. With the ball being dynamic, we talked a little bit about what happens when you catch the ball. You check the balance of the defense. We talked about moving without the basketball. Now we just talked about rebounding. We talked about helping others to get open. So having this plan and this structure for how you participate in the game is so important. And without it, you have nothing. And if I need to be your coach through you getting to know me through this YouTube experience, then I'm happy to do that free of charge. So the next thing, leadership. And this is so important. In order to lead, you must know how to follow. But in order to lead, you have to become a subject matter expert of what's going on around you. So by just the mere fact, if you know what the play is, then you can help your teammates. If you can encourage them to get to a spot faster and say, hey, I'm going to get you the basketball, or you as a leader say, hey, dribble that ball up and I'm going to be open on this spot and I'm going to cut to the basket like I'm going for a backdoor, then I'm going to come out. And now you encourage your teammate when he shoots the ball, that's and one or swish or great shot. And if he misses, I'm about to give you the basketball. We're going to do that again. Run that same play. You're going to knock this shot down. Be a leader. Run to the bench. Show the coach you're interested. It sends a message, and going back to chemistry, to everybody else on the team, the fans, the coaches, the college coaches on the next level, if you're interested, everybody sees it. So leadership is vocal. Trying to be a quiet leader is the exception to the rule. You're not going to make it going off of, oh, you don't always have to be a loud leader. And I'm not saying that you don't just be loud for no reason at all. You have to have stuff to say, and you can have multiple leaders on the team. And that becomes chemistry again on how you guys work together. And that's what you see when you're looking at the NBA and you see 2 or 3 superstars on the same team and they love each other because they embrace the fact. I love watching LeBron and Dwayne Wade. They embrace each other. And when you see that embrace and it's authentic, then not only do you win, but look, all the stuff that goes on with The Last Dance and Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen and all the rest of the stuff. The bottom line is Scottie, Rodman, and Jordan played great together. And we loved it. We loved watching them. We loved supporting them and all the rest of the stuff. And they loved winning. And everybody could see it. People were afraid to play him. Even when you saw Shaq and Kobe, you actually saw some chemistry, but those were 2 giant leaders. And so if you get the chemistry right, the leadership will be right. And so that's a big part of your success. So the next thing is athleticism. You may not be the best athlete. You may not be the tallest. You may not be the fastest. You may not be the strongest, but you've got to reach your best potential. And to be the best version of yourself, what does that mean? That means doing the extra things to challenge your body to get better so that over time you see improvement. I can't say it any better than that. So whether it's push-ups, whether it's dips, whether it's squats, whether it's sprints, you got to set a plan, see where you are, test yourself, set some training goals, and then set up another time to test yourself again. And when you do these sequential tests, you will find that you may not hit the goal that you wanted, but you're going to be better than you were. And so by being the best athlete and showing energy that you're going into a particular move somewhere, then the defense starts to adjust, whether it's the primary defender or the interior defenders. They adjust because there's natural laws that you guys will learn. And so those natural laws would show that there is a psychological force that a player is going to move in a certain direction. If you put enough energy into it, the defender is going to follow you. And when they do, you can change the momentum and you can go against theirs. And then you can create an opportunity for yourself. And so you can negate athleticism of better athletes, taller athletes, stronger athletes, but you got to be the best version of yourself. And it builds your confidence, your self-esteem, and your teammates will appreciate it. And finally, you got to be consistent. If you want to be an instantly better player, you've got to be consistent because shooting the basketball is an art. It's an art. So to be the best, and I'm just going to close with this, you've got to become a subject matter expert. You got to be the best version of yourself. And you've got to surround yourself with people that inspire you. And you will find that people who inspire you are consistent, not only with their behavior and their success, but they're consistent with their preparation. And so that's how you get to the next level. That's how you become instantly a better basketball player. So just want to take a few minutes and share with you guys. I'm Coach Brandon. I'm also your friend. And I look forward to seeing you on the court.